Once upon a time in a village, a father had. The eldest son and the second son are very diligent and diligent, always working hard, never resting for a minute. Therefore, the villagers highly praised the two people. They declared that one day the two of them would become exemplary, wealthy people. On the contrary, the third younger brother, Din-ro-ku, is very different. The difference is not that he is unkempt or has a bad temper, but the difference is that he loves to listen to interesting stories, and so he puts all his mind into listening to stories, to the point of forgetting the work he has to do. The most disastrous thing was when a group of street storytellers appeared in the village. So he used every last penny in the house to buy a place to sit and listen, and when he was short of money, he immediately sold whatever he had on hand. No matter how much his father forbade him, it was useless. Din-ro-ku often runs away from home and runs to the dry riverbank, where artists set up tents to perform. Once he had a seat to watch, he paid close attention to everything that happened on stage, so intently that he even forgot to breathe. When he got home, he kept admiring and praising him. Even though his father reprimanded him and his brothers mocked him, he still calmly replied, "If only father and brothers knew how fascinating the story they just told was. Let me tell it to everyone. But unfortunately I can and number 39. Narrate it as well as the person on stage." Having finished speaking, he calmly smiled, regardless of how angry everyone was at him. The father often wondered, and quote, "I wonder what the future will be like for this guy Din-ro-ku. He is very generous, he will give anything, just to hear a good story, he can even give his last shirt." End quote. Years passed, the father grew old. One day he called all three children together. Then said, "Dear children, now you are grown up. You have reached the age where you have to see what people know, before settling down to be independent. Think about where you want to go and find the path that you think is best. I Don and number 39. Have much. But I will divide the money I have saved for a long time equally between you, so that you have capital to start your career in life. I wish you all good luck on your journey to the world, and return home to me in peace and happiness." Having finished speaking, he divided each of his three children with 3 ikai, ancient silver coins, then let them go. The three brothers packed their luggage, put on sturdy shoes and set off. They happily walked away under the beautiful sky until they reached a crossroads. At this point, the eldest brother said, "Hey guys, because sooner or later we have to break up, so why Don and number 39? We break up here. Starting from here, each person will go their own way, as our father advised." The two younger brothers did not object. They wished each other luck, bowed to each other, then the older brother went left, the second brother went right, and the third brother went straight ahead. He happily sang and sang, thinking about the upcoming exciting moments when he would interact with people, and especially hear interesting stories. The path became more and more difficult, the sun gradually set, and finally disappeared. Din-ro-ku went into a forest when the sun had set, and to get to the nearest village, he had to climb a fox mountain. Because of his lack of experience, he told himself, "It and number 39. It's okay to be afraid when sleeping in the forest. I found some grass under the tree to make a bed to sleep in for the night." He lay down on the grass and covered himself with dry leaves to keep from the cold. As soon as he lay down, he fell asleep immediately, sleeping soundly until the sunlight shone through the leaves shining down on him, and he woke up. Before he could fully open his eyes, he heard someone next to him say to him, "Already sleeping, right?" Got up, had breakfast and then set off. Din-ro-ku sat up and saw two beggars sitting at his feet, near the fire. The person who had just spoken to Din-ro-ku continued, "Yesterday, when we entered this forest, it was already dark. While looking for a place to sleep at night, we suddenly saw him sleeping here. He lay on the grass so carefree, showing that he was very inexperienced in the forest, because he slept alone in an empty place like this without fear of wild animals tearing him to pieces. So we have to stay here to watch over you." He slept soundly like death, not knowing that we had started a fire here. The second beggar continued, "That and number 39's right. We said to each other that this guy must be hungry after a cold night in the forest like this, so we cooked some rice. So come eat with us. You and number 39, lucky, you and number 39, lucky to have met us. If you had encountered a wild animal, you would have lost your life." Having finished speaking, he gave Din-ro-ku a ball of rice. Din-ro-ku thanked the two beggars profusely. Then he continued, "You guys are really nice. My brothers, my father gave me 3 kai to go on my journey. So we divided into 3, each person had an kai. Such an opinion is okay," he said happily, opening his bag and taking out a towel, carefully wrapping 3 silver coins. The two beggars looked at each other in surprise. Then when they saw that the young man was not joking, they were both very happy. The first beggar said, "You are very kind. Your gift will bring us happiness. But we accept your gifts, so you must also accept our gifts. Our gift to you is not worth much, but one day you will use it." The first beggar gave you a needle, and the second beggar gave you a thread. The first beggar said, "Don and number 39 think this is an ordinary needle. You can sew anything you want." The second beggar said, "This thread is not ordinary thread. He could sew as long as he wanted, and it would never end." He followed the path through many steep hills and mountains, through many deep abysses, and one day, when he came to a narrow valley, he met a man, old and small, with a bent back. The old man wore a turban woven with gold thread, a shirt embroidered with large colorful flowers, and on his feet shoes braided with hemp. The strangest thing is that the old man and number 39's face does not match his hunched back and long white beard, because his face is rosy and shiny. The old man carries a large, worn bag on his back, and walks briskly. Very different from people his age. As soon as he saw Din-ro-ku walking peacefully, the old man stopped to wait for him. When he had passed by, the old man looked at him closely and gently said, "Boy, I have a feeling you like to hear interesting stories." "Oh, that and number 39's right, sir. I prefer to hear interesting stories." "Anything," Din-ro-ku replied, feeling excited because he thought he was about to hear a good story. "If so, then you probably know how to tell a good story and tell it very attractively," the old man continued. Din-ro-ku immediately became sad, because he could not tell. He replied, "You are wrong, sir. I Don and number 39's know how to tell. I have heard many interesting stories, but when I wanted to tell them, I could N and hash 39's. The old man shook his head with regret and said, "It and number 39's A pity, because behind this forest, there is a kingdom, the king of the kingdom. This country loves to hear strange and interesting stories. In addition, he promised to marry his daughter to whoever told him the strangest and most unbelievable story. But, Don and number 39, be sad, I have this opinion for you. I and number 39 am going to sell stories, do you want to buy them? Ready, sir, but how much does a story cost? Unfortunately for you, I and number 39. They sold all the cheap stories. There and number 39's only one thing left in this bag. The price is very cheap. It and number 39's only one Kai coin, but this is the best story. Din Roku was happy, he said, how lucky. I still have a coin of Kai that my father gave me. But then he hesitated for a moment before continuing. If I spend it all, I won and number 39. Have any money left? Hey man, do you believe that this will bring me luck? The old man promises that this will bring you luck. He advised him not to worry, because a story worth 1 ounce certainly cannot disappoint. So the sale ended. Din Roku gave the old man the last coin. This man brought his bag up next to Din Roku and #39's ear, then gently pressed it against the bag. Immediately there was a small sound. The story at the bottom of the bag was transmitted to his ears. After finishing, the old man folded the bag and asked him, "Why, is the story satisfactory to you?" Din Roku nodded with surprise and then replied, "What a strange story." He bowed respectfully to the old man and then quickly walked out into the street, towards the king and number 39's castle. He tripped over and over on the road, his legs were swollen in many places because he wasn't and #39 paying attention while walking, his ears kept listening to the story in his head. Finally, he arrived at the castle. When Din Roku knocked on the door, the guard asks, "Who is it?" "I and number 39, Din Roku. I know the best story in Japan. I want to tell the king." Din Roku was brought into the king and number 39's presence. The king opened his greeting to the stranger with the following words, "I have been informed that you know a strange story. So tell me quickly to see if it and number 39's true or if you and number 39 just a liar. You know the reward for this. But, if you make me angry, I will take your head immediately." Well, let and number 39's tell. Hearing that, Din Roku felt scared, but it was too late. He could and #39 run away anymore. So he told the story he bought from the old man. Once upon a time, very long ago, there was an oak tree. It and number 39's so huge, it and number 39's impossible to find an oak tree like that now. Its branches and leaves spread from the province of Echigo to the island of Sado, and its trunk has a circle of 333,000 meters long, 3 inches, 3 centimeters. The king was surprised and commented, "Indeed a strange oak tree. But the oak tree is not only big, but it is also incredibly tall, up to 333 meters high." The king interrupted him again, "How do you know the height of the oak tree? Did you measure it?" "I didn't and #39 measure it, but the height reached the neighboring world." And here there was an old man who was too curious about this tree. The tree stimulated his curiosity, So one day he climbed a branch and climbed down. It took him several years to get to the branch. The old man descended there in the fall. Because he moved on the tree like that, he caused the acorns to fall to the ground. The left one fell into Senkoji House located in the northern province. The second fruit fell on our famous volcano, Mount Fuji. The third fruit fell into Biwa Lake, Biwa, located in the south. Okay, I know. Then what? After that, Dinroku continued. Another acorn fell on the small bell of a pilgrim on the island of Shikoku, Shikoku, going from one temple to another every day. The bell made a ringing sound that frightened this friend. The fifth fruit. ... The king interrupted the story again. How many acorns are there in total? Oh, a lot, Dinroku replied. He still did not lose his temper. There are exactly 3,333,333 acorns. And each fruit has its own story. The king found it suspicious and asked, "How did you count such a large amount of acorns?" Hearing the question, Dinroku stopped, confused. He could tell the story of each acorn coherently, but among the stories the bag had whispered to him, there was not a single story about how to count these acorns. He was imagining the executioner dragging him to the guillotine, when suddenly, luckily, he remembered the gift the two beggars had given him. He immediately replied, "Oh, it and number 39's very easy, Your Majesty. I took a needle and pierced each fruit and strung them into a string, counting each fruit. That and number 39's too much, even for the king to dare to lie." He was angry and shouted, "There is no such nonsense. In this world, there is no thread long enough to thread more than 1,000,000 acorns." Dinroku immediately took out a needle and thread, showed it to the king and said, "Your Majesty, this is a needle and thread. If Your Majesty dozen and #39 believe me, I will count all the flowers in the garden for you to see." Having finished speaking, he threw the needle and thread through the window onto the bud of the blooming cherry tree. At that moment, people heard a scream in the garden, and then there was the sound of something heavy falling and hitting the ground. All the audience in the room were frightened and rushed to the window to see what had happened. Under the blooming cherry tree, a robber was breathing his last breath. The needle was thrown by Dinroku, pierced his heart, causing him to fall to the ground. This is a very evil robber. For many years he has spread terror throughout the kingdom, and even the king lives in fear. Although the court tried its best to search for him, he still could not be caught. Today, he sneaked into the palace with the intention of assassinating the king and his family. But, the young man and number 39's needle ended his life, ending his sinful actions. To show gratitude, the king married his daughter to Dinroku, thanks to his kindness and love of good stories. Attractive, that the youngest of the three brothers got lucky. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.